And we are live, y'all. Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. Greetings and salutations. We are back in it again. You are with us again. Thank you, everybody. I am Deante.
And I'm Shekema.
And we are the Dunlaps,
We're
bringing
the
in the
Dunlaps.
2023, the 2023, y'all. We are in it again. It's the first one of the year. We hope to bring it in with some live and entertaining conversations, some enriching thoughts, and some engaging in exchanges in the conversation world. So we're going to kick it off with our usual today in history.
All right. So, y'all, a couple things. Like, I love doing these today in histories, but sometimes it's just so sad. Like, and I'm just going to preface today's by saying this is one of those sad ones. Okay. So, today in history, January 10th, 1966, voting rights activist Vernon Dahmer is killed in Mississippi. And this is one of the saddest ones. Like, if you've ever watched Eyes on the Prize or anything like that, this is one of those stories that was included. So, in the early morning hours of January 10, 1966, two carloads of armed Ku Klux Klan members drove onto the property of Vernon Dahmer and his family, 10 miles outside of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The white men set fire to the Dahmer's grocery store and house and blasted the buildings with gunfire. Mrs. Dahmer and three of their children managed to escape. But Mr. Dahmer sustained fatal lung damage while holding off attackers as his family fled. He died later that day. For years, Vernon Dahmer and his wife Ellie had slept in shifts to keep watch over their home in anticipation of attacks from local white terrorists. As a successful Black businessman and NAACP leader active in the voting rights movement, Mr. Dahmer and his family were targets of local white residents' hostility and violent attacks. Following Mr. Dahmer's murder, a massive crowd of Black residents gathered at a local courthouse, and President Lyndon B. Johnson sent a wire expressing condolences. Mr. Dahmer's funeral was well attended, and local residents raised money to restore the family's house. Four of the Dahmer sons, who were serving in the U.S. military at the time, obtained leave to come home to their father's funeral and to help their mother rebuild. 14 Klansmen were arrested and charged with murder, arson, and conspiracy in the attack on the Dahmer home. Four of the men were convicted, and a fifth pleaded guilty, but none served more than 4 years. In 1998, prosecutors reopened the case against Sam Bowers, the Klansman who ordered the attack. Mr. Bowers, at age 74, was convicted on August 21st, 1998, and sentenced to life in prison. He died in 2006. That was today in history, January 10th, 1966.
Wow. Whew. That was a pretty somber one, man.
Yeah.
But that goes to show you how important voting is, and being able to, say your piece and cast your vote and, participate, in society, and how much that matters, and because when people go to that lengths, to keep you from it,
Yep.
It's like there must be some, you can't deny the value in it when, people will work that hard to keep people away from it. Man. That's a sad day.
Like for me, as a wife, and I know Tisha, like just thinking about the idea of having to sleep in shifts with your spouse, to protect yourself and the children, like that is, and to escape, with some of the children, but your spouse is in there, and he's willing to give his life to protect you all. And then the other sons that were active military duty, defending this country. And that's what the citizens of this country were doing to their families. This just,
yeah, that's incredibly difficult to stomach, to accept, to process, even so many years later, it's like, when do you count? When do you matter? If you can fight, you can fight for the same land that condemns you at the same time.
That's it.
That's a brutal reality to have to face,
And y'all, I've been wanting to like, lighten it up sometimes because Dunlap and I, we do have a sense of humor, but it's hard to like do the show and like laugh after because it's important that we get this history too.
Right.
I mean, we can't always be shucking and jiving. You know what I'm saying? Like it's important that we get this history and at some point, we'll get to a today in history that's not like a brutal reminder of being black in this country, but yeah, I do think that as long as we're telling the truth and as long as we're sharing stories that most people are unfamiliar with, um, and I think that was one of the ones that was the most recent history, that was in the 60s.
Right.
So, yeah, and I don't, 1998, it seems like we would remember the trial, and I don't remember all that stuff.
I don't either.
I wonder like how widely publicized it was, or was it not publicized at all? Like, I don't really seems like we would remember that. That should have
Right.
been like huge, right? And I don't think they really did a good job of providing adequate media coverage of that
Right.
trial. But here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. So we have with us again today our real taboo, Leticia Rivera Clemente, the real taboo.
Thank
Well,
y'all for having me. I'm honored to be here on your first episode of 2023.
Let's get it.
So I am an agent serving, of course, Austin Metro and Manor areas, Pflugerville, Brown Rock, Hutto, Elgin, pretty much all surrounding areas of Austin, but been in the Manor community for 15 years. So I've done a lot of business here as well. I want to ask y'all a question. So what do y'all think about everything that is coming in on the corner of 290 and 973? Do you guys know about all of that new construction and shopping that's going to be crowding that area?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so tell us how you want us to answer this. Do you want us
I
to
want-
answer it like
Oh,
we
yeah.
already
I
live
want
in
you to
Maynard,
answer
or
it
you want us to answer
truthfully.
it like
Well,
for people to come to Maynard, thus buying homes from Tisha? Like,
Well,
how do you?
see,
well,
but see, that's the thing though, because the difference with, myself and some other agents is there's no fluff with me.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I want people to know the real about the community that they're planning on, raising their kids in, or just, moving to in general. So whether you have to know the good and the bad, right? So that you
That's
can make an
it.
educated decision.
Go ahead on that.
well, my personal opinion is the roadways aren't ready.
That's right.
Given everything that they're planning some major shopping outlets over there,
Yes.
and they with the influx of not just the residents, but the people who are coming from other cities that may be commuting from Pflugerville, from Austin, from Bastrop, that's coming here, that may just be passing through, or that just may say, hey, my local, whatever store doesn't, have this, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to the
Right.
Manor one since it's new, and everybody likes to go to the new stuff. So I think that it is going to, while I think it's good, I think that the infrastructure is not prepared. I think the infrastructure is bursting at the seams now. And we're at about a little over 18,000 residents, and once you throw that major shopping in here, and it's going to bring in all the traffic, and like you said, new residents moving to Manor,
Yes.
it's going to explode, and it's going to be a massive traffic jam on a regular basis. So yeah, that I'm while I'm excited for more options to shop, and more places, and not more places to go, and I have to venture out so far, it's a double-edged. I mean, well, another good point is just speaking for my selfish self, it's not that far from us. So if we
because we're right
wanted
there.
Yeah,
we could I could get on a little scooter. Yeah, I can get a nice little scooter and just make my way up there, weave it, do like the motorcycles do, weave in between.
I'm not sure we can see you on a scooter though. On two the way those people drive at that like Walmart intersection.
That's why I said sidewalks though.
I'm going to be moving when everybody else stops.
Because I'm like, they'll ride on the side. These people.
Yeah, I know that intersection is very dangerous.
Yeah.
They recently, tried to do some reconfiguring of the lanes, which has not helped. But yeah, you said the right word. The infrastructure definitely needs some help. And for them putting an elementary there, which will
Right.
be
That K through 8 school is going to be right there, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And shopping behind that. So it's a whole lot of issues. So of course you've got the positives and the negatives, like you mentioned, Deante, the walkability will be great for those in the area, the apartment complexes that are there, you guys, that community there, being able to quickly access those stores. That will definitely be a plus. But yeah, they've got to do something about that traffic.
Right.
So that's my biggest thing too, the traffic. But like for me, I mean, as long as I can get my groceries delivered.
Yes.
I mean, I'm really honestly, I am, as the primary grocery shopper, having that one Walmart and then either having a choice of going all the way to Elgin or Pflugerville or Tech Ridge to pick up groceries, like that's just not okay. But so I think, as long as we can have like a variety of opportunities to have delivery, then I think it might, make it a little bit better. But I do hate having to drive all the way to somewhere else to have a variety. Like our store here, our Walmart hardly ever has anything on the shelf.
Excuse me.
That's kind of like,
yes. And the produce is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother conversation.
But
3 things I definitely wanted to touch on in my segment, and I appreciate you guys again so much for allowing me to do this. But just quick market update for the city of Manor. As of this afternoon, there was 207 active properties. That is a lot for this, from as you compare this year to last year, right? When inventory was definitely low. And it's crazy because even though it seems like we have more homes available on the market, inventory is still low. And we are, let's see, so as far as price point, within that 207 that's available, there's actually 47 that's under the 350K mark. And 8 of those are under 300,000. And that's crazy because again, compared to last year, you cannot find anything under 350K in the town of Manor. So that just goes to show you how the market is correcting itself. I know what a lot of people are hearing is, this shift in the market. Yes, things have changed. Interest rates have gone up. They will probably, float back down a little bit. Right now, we're at about 7% with interest rates. But the market is definitely correcting itself, and people have to remember that we are kind of reverting back to pre-COVID. When COVID hit, things went crazy. So another thing I wanted to remind homeowners is, if you haven't already done so, please file your homestead exemption. Last year there was a change where the county tax assessor, they changed it to where when you purchase a home, you can now file at that time. You don't have to wait until that following year. But for those who have not done it, now is the time, and you have until April 15th to do so.
Okay.
So you definitely want to do that, get that exemption, get that tax break, okay, on your biggest investment. Another thing I know we mentioned before in the previous episodes about how important it is to link up with a knowledgeable realtor and a lender. Another thing is, when you go out, or before you go out to new construction homes and new construction properties or home sites and speak with the representative there, please have an educated realtor there with you. Do not go by yourself. I say this because, and not all builders are this way, but they do not have your best interest at heart always, because they don't work for you. They work for the builder. So that's why it's important to have representation. A lot of people think, well, I'll get a discount if I go in without a realtor. And that is a myth. It's not true, because guess what? The buyer is not paying the agent. The seller is who pays the agent, unless they are not paying the full percentage of whatever is agreed upon between the buyer and the buyer's agent. So real important, have a knowledgeable realtor that can explain that to you, because they know the right questions to ask when you go into a builder. Lots of builders are throwing out all these incentives and, we're giving out 20K, we're giving out 12K. Well, do you know exactly how that will adjust your payment or what you can apply that money to?
That's good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't know, what to ask. They just think, oh my gosh, this builder is giving us $20,000. Well, does that help? Are they paying your closing costs? Or are you taking that out of that 20K? Are they paying the title policy? Or are they also taking that out of that 20K that they
Right.
say they're giving you?
Yeah,
Right.
that's good.
So yeah, it's so important that buyers, when they go out, just to please have a knowledgeable realtor. If you're, in the area or need an agent, contact me. Happy to answer any questions and happy to help you with the home buying journey.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Tisha. That was awesome information. And one of the things that you said reminded me of when we were getting ready to close on the Atlanta home, like that you have to pay attention when you're on places like Zillow,
Oh,
Trulia, what it was, Red Door, or something like that.
yeah,
But anyway, so like, how you see what they're giving your agent. And if that minimum doesn't come up to what your agent's minimum is for whatever their broker is telling them their minimum, then you have to pay that out of your pocket. So even though
right.
their house might be like, oh, we love this home, like, but at closing, you got to have that money. Somebody's got to slide that money to your agent. So
Exactly. And that should never be a surprise.
Yep.
Okay. A lot of agents, will surprise people with this information, but when you have hired an agent, that agent should have gone over everything word for word in that contract, in that buyer's representation agreement, and in that portion that talks about compensation. A lot of people are afraid of that paragraph, but you have to explain it. And we have a fiduciary duty to our client to make sure that we are doing everything in their best interest. And it is in their best interest to understand the contracts.
Right.
I love it.
Yep. Well, like they say in The Richest Man in Babylon, you don't consult the bricklayer about diamonds. You go to the diamond expert, consult about diamonds, so you consult your experts. And that way your investment is maintained, because you don't have to redo it. So I always
That's why I
follow
love you,
that.
because you read books.
Mm-hmm.
You got money.
Richest Man
Let me go cue that Quincy BuzzFeed. He got money.
Yeah, Richest Man in Babylon is one of my favorite books. That book is about that thick, and it has so much information in it. It's such an easy read, such a good book. So viewers, if y'all haven't read it, pick it up.
I have it, and I have not read it yet. It is on my shelf, though.
Yep, it's a really good
book.
book.
I need to read it.
I'm gonna go dig it out of my library and read it again. I'm inspired now.
Yes, please be inspired so I can quit my job. Thank you. Look at God.
We're working on it.
Look at God. Okay. Well, Tisha, we know you have to run. We thank you so much for your time. Like, your time is so valuable, because we know that your work does not fit between regular business hours. So thank you.
So true.
Tell your clients, thank you for letting us borrow you for a few minutes so we can get some more people in their homes.
Thank you. So true. I was actually on the phone with one of my clients a couple of weeks ago at 11 p.m.
I believe it.
And sometimes, that's just me. And it just speaks to the person that I am, the realtor that I am. You have to be there, and you have to lend that ear, and you have to have empathy. It is imperative.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Tisha.
Have a good night.
I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all too.
All right,
Dunlap. We forgot about we forgot about today in technology history.
Okay.
So I want to circle back to today in technology history. Let's talk about Apple again. I think this is the second time this is the second one in history that we had something about Apple.
I mean, they're pretty important in technology. So
yeah, they changed the phone game. So January 10th, 2006. This is in relatively recent years, relative recent history, put it like that. Apple ships Intel Inside. 7 months after announcing that Macintosh computers would transition from PowerPC to Intel, the first Apple computers to ship with Intel processors are released. The Intel-based iMac and MacBook Pro models will soon be followed by the rest of Apple's Macintosh line in 2006. The importance of this transition cannot be overlooked, as it enabled a level of compatibility with Windows computers never before possible. Through virtual machine software or Apple's later introduced boot camp technology, people could run Windows software directly on their Macs at the same speed as a Windows-based computer. This effectively removed a huge roadblock many people had to owning a Macintosh computer, even if it was more of a psychological security blanket for many.
Wow.
So this gave Apple, Windows users foothold into Apple, into iMacs.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah. So expanded the user base. That's how you expand your user base. You make it available to more people. When you make things proprietary, you keep your products available to only a certain subset of the market. But when you expand and you make your offering, when you keep the same platform but change it to where you can bring in a broader array of users, you expand your market reach. And so I think this is one of the ways that Apple was able to make its way into more Windows households.
Wow.
Because at one point you had one or the other. You had your Windows users, then you had your PC Windows users, and then you had your Mac users, your Apple users, and they usually didn't combine. And then we moved into this, and then we moved into an era where you could dual boot, where you could boot up Windows on a Mac device. So kind of increase, expanding that capability to be able, that way Mac users could use Windows based devices that weren't readily compatible with the Mac iOS system. So it's really expanded, and really changed the game and how we do and how we compute,
So
how we
smart.
use what we call cross platforming.
You're so smart.
I try.
So when I have that like blank look in my eyes when you're talking about this stuff, I'm really just captivated.
Yeah, I'm usually not the smartest one in the room, so
Yes, you are.
I like to
Yes, you are.
so it's good to well, it's good to speak about some of what I know about, but I'm usually in the room with bigger brains than mine. So
Okay.
excellent.
All right. So
All
what are we gonna
right,
talk about?
2023 in me.
Listen, let me put my glasses on.
It is the year, I think,
Listen.
2022 put everybody in the mindset to, man, screw this.
Mhm.
I'm not
That's it.
doing this no more. It's a wrap, son.
It's it. Because
Nope.
I just feel like
Because hey, let's talk about, let's one of the things I struggle with sometimes is, working with my fellow humans, and we are slowly but surely drifting into this age of individualism, and which is no problem because individuals make the whole, right?
Yeah.
But we have a level of entitlement that is becoming so pervasive in our society right now, and it makes doing things really hard,
Yeah.
And so it, for me, 2023, I'm kind of seeing past that. I'm usually pretty careful with my words, but this year is like, what, I'm not kowtowing. I'm not bowing to your sensibilities. If I have a truth that I need to express, I'm going to express it, because the more and more I sugarcoat it, the more and more I mask it, the more and more you expect me to. And there's an expectation that you just kowtow and give people what they want, tell them what they want to hear, it's like, that's not how life works, and it's just for me, and I guess most of the younger generation, they'll call me old, and I'll take it. You call me old, I call me advanced. It is what it is. And but that's just that just let me, the level of entitlement has put me in a position where I'm like, okay, I have to stand on the truth. Then I
Yes.
have to say what needs to be said. I have to do what needs to be done, and feelings aside, because if feelings are fickle, and how somebody feels one minute may be totally different the next. And so if I'm making moves and decisions off of fickle feelings, then I'm going to be constantly changing, rechanging, deciding, undeciding, redeciding. It's like I have to be decisive. And that's one of my focuses for this year, is being decisive.
Yep.
And I can't tap dance around people's feelings. And that's an unfortunate truth that a lot of people may or may not like.
Yeah. And I think for me, as a wife, as a mom, um, as an educator, like I'm surrounded by spaces where I'm required to put everybody first. You know, it's one thing to put everybody first inside my home, but it's another to consistently do that all day and to have an inordinate amount of people who all expect for you to put them first.
Right.
And they forget that what it takes for you to put them first might necessarily require you to put all 150, 200 people last or second or whatever, you know? And so I'm just in a space, right, where I just feel like, you know, we talk so much about setting boundaries and creating healthy boundaries, but then if you're in a profession that you're not allowed to do that, you know,
Right.
like that, creating a personal boundary, you know, is diametrically opposed to you doing a good job, then it's hard to reconcile that, you know.
Right.
And I'm at that phase in my life where there are some things I'm just not willing to compromise anymore. And one of them is peace of mind. I'm just not willing to compromise that anymore. And so yeah. So that's, for me, 2023 is about like self-actualization.
Mhm.
You know, like this is the last new year that I won't be Dr. Dunlap.
Let's
Right? This is
go.
the last new year that I won't be Dr. Dunlap. And so this hard fought battle, of overcoming every ounce of adversity that's ever shown up in my life. I'm tired of fighting. I'm
Mhm.
tired of fighting to exist. I'm tired of fighting to prove myself. I'm tired of fighting, you know, my own insecurities and the voices in my head that you know, tell me that I won't ever be enough, or that I don't belong here, or that I can't do this, or that I can't do. I'm just tired of fighting. And I'm also at a place where I don't feel like I have anything else to prove.
Absolutely. I agree
I'm
with
okay
that.
with me. And so whoever is not, that's on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I understand that this emotional space that I'm in, this spiritual space that I'm in, is not conducive
Right.
to being in my same profession. And so that's kind of where I am. So thank you for rocking with me through all the ups and downs. I
You know
couldn't
how
have
we
done it
do it.
without you.
You know how we do it. And you know, and you know, kind of to add to, you know, what we were talking about, you know, and this how as far as 2023, and you know, and you know, one thing I realize is that when you're a leader, when you have so much responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't, you know me, I don't run from responsibility. I run to it. You know, I take care of my business. That's what I've always done. And one thing I realize is that the more, and I intend to become a better leader and continue to lead. And in that comes more responsibility. And with that responsibility, you know, that God blesses me with, I know I can't afford to mince my words. I know I can't afford to bend to entitlements. You know, I know I can't do that. My integrity won't allow me to.
That's it.
And to be a leader with integrity, you know, you have to stand on the truth. You have to stand on the principle of truth. And it's not to be, and I've never been a raw, crass person. So I understand that it's a way to say everything. It's a way to deliver everything. And so, you know, my methods is always true, but it's going to be direct. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in my goals for this year to increase my professional capacity to become, you know, a better leader, or, you know, and step up my levels in leadership and become a leader with more responsibility. Um, you know, my goal is to be it, and I have to be more direct, because that's where all of my colleagues appreciate is directness, is, you know, a non-mention of the words. And all of my mentors and people that I follow and admire, you know, they're all, you know, they all, you know, stand on the principle of being honest and direct,
Yeah.
not disrespectful. You know, a lot of people think that disrespect is honesty. A lot of people think that, you know, rudeness or crassness is honesty. It just how it comes out is, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't understand the factor of tact. And so so yeah, that's my goal for this year. You know, I, you know, sometimes I think about getting back into you know, I'm considering getting back into, you know, teaching you know, Muay Thai again. And again, that's another aspect where, you know, You have to be honest with your clients. You have to be honest with your students where they are. You know, if you have a student that's eager to fight, but they can barely throw a jab, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to put you in the ring.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate, you know, you come every single day, yes, but you still haven't properly thrown your jab yet. So I cannot put you in a ring with another human being who can throw a really good jab and knock your whole fronts out. So
Baby, you bring up such an interesting point right there, because a lot of what I'm finding recently is people who expect for you to put them in a fight when they're not ready. Right. And instead of them just acknowledging the fact that it's not that anybody's not doing certain things to assist me, it's that this is the level that I'm currently on. And it may not be anybody's fault that I'm on this level, right? But nobody wants to be on that level. Everybody wants to be amazing. Everybody wants to be phenomenal, no matter what their natural proclivities or inclinations are. Like, everybody thinks they should be phenomenal. And so the role that we play is it's like walking the tightrope, you know, because it's like when I celebrate you and I tell you, you know, all the amazing things that you're doing, then we're good, right? And like, you'll never call anybody and say like, wow, this is the best teacher I've ever had. But the moment that as a teacher, I assess you and say like, you got this score because this is what your score, like, this is where you are right now. Then all of a sudden it's like, this teacher hates me, this teacher's this teacher's that, you know? And so it's like, what happened to the days when we actually understood, maybe I'm just not there yet. And maybe it's not anybody's fault, right? Like, maybe it's not that somebody else is not giving me 100% of themselves. Maybe I'm not giving 100% to this. And I shouldn't be offended when I'm not giving 100% and that person assesses it as such, you know? And so I think there's something that has happened, like this generational shift of where people just want you to tell them how phenomenal they are. And it's okay. Like, it's okay to not be phenomenal all the time and not be phenomenal at all the things. Right? Yeah. Maybe you're phenomenal at other things that I don't have the opportunity to assess. But so I'm glad you said that about people not knowing when they're not ready to get in the ring.
You know, we one of the things I've come to learn, and this is one of the blessings and the curses of, you know, been living in the age of the internet, is that everybody thinks they know more than the expert. We can have people who are certified and experts, and have people who may have watched a YouTube video or you know, may have been to one seminar and will question the expert. And that's the thing. It is, we have lost faith in the experts, because nowadays everybody can be an expert. Everybody can go to a few seminars and, you know, they can become a coach in this area, and they may not even have the credentials, or not even necessarily, they may have the credential on paper, but they don't have that time-proven experience. You know, kind of going back to the notion of, you know, putting a unprepared fighter in the ring. You know, you go in there, you you know, you allow somebody to, you know, test themselves, you know, despite, you know, your expertise, and you telling them, ultimately they're going to blame you. I don't care what waiver you sign, you know, what waiver that they sign. If you put somebody who thinks they're prepared in the ring with a monster and they get demolished, you as the coach are held responsible for that.
That's it.
And, you know, and that's the hard part that a lot of people who are seeking the service don't understand. When you say no, it's like, I have a responsibility to you as the expert. And as the expert, it's my job to let you know when you're ready. It's just like being a parent. You know, if you got a young person in your home who doesn't seem to exude any ability to adult, you know, it's like, yeah, you'd be upset if I sent you out there. When you say you're ready and I sent you out there and you know nothing about life, and you're going to come back to me 10 years saying, you didn't teach me anything.
That's good.
You didn't teach me you didn't teach me about bills. You didn't teach me the importance of this. And it's like, but you thought you was ready though. I let you out there because you thought you was ready. You know, and sometimes you can't, just because somebody think they're ready, it doesn't necessarily mean they are. And a lot of times it's hard for that person to understand, because it's like you said, everybody wants to be an expert after the first time. Everybody wants to shine after the first go. Everybody wants to hit the home run on the first swing, because we've gotten so used to relishing in the extraordinary that we forget that the ordinary is every day.
It's every day.
It's okay to be average. Average doesn't mean you're not worthy. Average means that you're here. And you fit in the greater mold of what's happening. And we have gotten so far away of relishing and being appreciative of just the ordinary. Ordinary doesn't mean less. Why would you not want an ordinary life? Everybody wants this extraordinary life. Everybody wants this, like one of the buzzwords on the internet nowadays is high value people. It's like, what is that? It's like everybody's like the average people are the high value people, because they're the ones that keep everything going. If the average people stop, everything stops. If the ordinary stops, everything stops. And life is not in the high and the very low. Life happens in the middle. And the internet, Instagram fame, Facebook fame has, led us to believe that, you can become this after, in such and such time. You can do this in 3, become an expert in 2 days. And if you go, it's just, that's the world we live in. And the sad part is those of us who fall for it and don't get the results that was advertised, they fall off and they completely stop.
Yeah.
Because they're comparing. Those who did get that extraordinary, who was that 1 in a million shot that was in the right place at the right time with the right people, they keep comparing themselves to them.
That's it.
And Jiddu Krishnamurti says, comparison is the gateway to suffering. If you want to suffer, start comparing. Compare yourself to other people. Compare what you have to someone else's. Then you're going to find out what suffering is, because everything you have is no longer enough. So that's, So that's my take on that.
I love it, and I'm thankful that I have you, to hold me accountable, but also to lift me up and let me know, when I'm being extra hard on myself. And I think that one thing, I wish that I could, could have understood a lot sooner in life is that it's okay to be growing.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be growing, right? So if something is a 2-year process, I don't have to have mastered it in the first semester of that 2-year process, right? Like, why would I be upset with myself or with my teacher or whatever? Like, why would I be upset with that if I didn't get a perfect score, like in the beginning? You know what I'm saying? Like, I still have time left. I still have semesters to go. I remember going into the doc program and, professor saying, you can't write. And me saying, okay, I have 2 degrees in English. I'm published already. Like, I know I can write, but what they were saying was, for this type of audience, there's a certain way that we want to see your writing, right? We want your ideas to flow in a certain way. So like, just saying that, yes, you have great ideas. Yes, you understand sentence variation. You understand all those things, but like, there's a skill set that we need you to pick up. Now, here's the crazy part. Nobody taught me. You remember all those semesters where I was just like, okay, so like, how do I, and they would say, go look at good writing.
Wow.
Go look at studies that are similar to the study that you're planning to conduct and start to model your writing after that.
I can see that.
Look at the way that they phrase things. Look at their thought process. See if you can get in their mind, like, as they're doing it, so you can understand the reasoning behind it and not just mimic it, right? And so over the course of these years that I've been in this program, I have taught myself how to do that. If I had stayed stuck in a place of saying, well, I'm not going to do it because nobody taught me, or I can't do this because I don't have good teachers and the teachers are not showing, I would never have gotten to the place that I'm in now. Right. And so I kind of had to get out of my own way and stop lamenting what I quote unquote wasn't getting and figure out how to find ways to get it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that's the difference. Yeah, so I just want to share some. I want to share some things that I found from. I follow Nedra Tawwab. She's like almost like a life coach, and I want to share some things that she shared over the break, like as we were getting ready to come back into the new year. And this is some stuff that she talked about taking with us into 2023. Okay. And she said, people will tell you it's okay to have healthy boundaries, but when you set boundaries with them, they become upset. So just, right. Like all this, take care of yourself, right? Like we don't want you to work yourself to death. We want you to pace yourself, take care of you too, right? Like do your job, but take care of you. But then if there's a client that says that you did something, even if it was a part of you setting your boundaries, you could lose your whole thing, right? But the next one says, people will tell you not to hurry to make a decision, but when you want to make a decision about them, they'll rush you.
Mm.
You mean repeat that one?
Oh no, I got that first time straight out the frying pan. I'm still
Yes.
I'm still trying to chew on that one.
Take your time.
I'm trying to cool it off.
But if the decision is about them, we got to hurry this up, right? Mm-hmm. The next one is, people will tell you to be assertive, but when you speak up for yourself with them, it's going to create a problem.
How many times have I heard? Because I'm pretty quiet and laid back and reserved in nature, and I've been told for the better part of my life, hey man, you need to be more assertive. You need to speak up. You need to do this, and then it's like, okay, you sure? All right. And when I unleashed the dragon, like I said, even tactfully, hey, feelings is hurt, ego is shattered, and it's like, I didn't know you felt that way. I can't, and it's like, but this ain't about you. This is you asked me to speak my piece on it. I see, this is why I didn't say anything in the first place, because you were going to take what I said about you and you're gonna make all this about you. Oh man, that's a story in my life right there. That's a story in my life.
Listen.
You're too quiet.
And so for those of you who are following us on live on the Facebook feed, I put her link inside the chat for you. Awesome, phenomenal therapist. Like, listen. So the next one says, people will admire your drive, but when you tell them no because it's not aligned with your goals, they will be offended.
Or they'll try to clown you.
That's it.
Or they'll try to clown. Oh, man, you had me thinking.
Mm-hmm. You know how they do.
Oh yeah.
The next one says, people will expect you to listen and have the capacity to show up for them, but when you're going through something, they become emotionally unavailable to you. And so for me, the way my Leo energy is set up, if I am available, like if I'm loyal to a fault, right? Like if I'm on your team, I'm going to ride hard for you. But if you make me feel like you don't hold space for me, like if I'm going through something and you try to shut me up or shut me down, like, or, try to make me hurry up and move past whatever my pain is and my emotions are, I can't process like that.
Especially when you've been down and there for that person, you roll for that person in their time of need too.
So like, I'm like, okay, well, since I don't have space here, because I can process inward, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I have to be spilling over into somebody else's space,
Right.
I got a husband. So like,
right.
I can process inward, but like when I feel myself having to draw back, retract, or censor myself, because actually my self-censoring is a trauma-based response, right? For most of my life, I haven't had anybody who would actually care or listen or like, you know what I mean? And so for me, I'm monitoring everything I say. Like when I'm talking to people and I'm about to share something with them, I'm watching their body language, their faces, whatever. Like I even caught myself doing that in therapy. Like I was monitoring my therapist to see, oh, that's too much. Let me stop talking. And so my self-censoring is like a force of nature. And so when I find myself having to do that, I realize I'm not in a healthy, safe space. And so I will retreat, right? Until, not to cut you totally off for the rest of our lives, but until I can figure out a way to be with you safely.
Create that boundary.
Correct. That's what we're dealing with. That's exactly what we're dealing with.
Yep.
And so, that is kind of some of the things that I wanted to share. And I think I have a few more. So let's see. Yeah, I have a few more because these were good. Hold on. Okay, so I think the last one is, sometimes people want what you are willing to offer. Sometimes people want what's best for you, but not if it means they can't get what they want from you. And sometimes people struggle with practicing what they preach.
I got to fan my face on that one.
So,
Man, I
as
know.
long as what's
Ooh.
best for you is also what's best for me, then I want that for you. But if what's best for you is going to cause me problems, then I need you to not do that, right? Because ultimately, I'm only interested in what's best for me. And that's the bottom line, right? So, like, by all means, create boundaries, create a work-life balance, create all these things. But as long as you can still do all the things, then that won't create a problem. It creates a problem when you're creating a work-life balance and you say, okay, today I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this instead. Or, you know what, next week I'm not doing that at all because, like, I don't have the emotional capacity for that. Then it's problems.
Yeah.
Then it's problems. So thank you for allowing me to share those. I hope that really blessed some people. Please go to Nedra Tawwab's website. Is NEDRATAWWAB.com, NedraTawwab.com. And on that note, I also want to give a shout out to Charlotte Capers. Charlotte, if you're listening, thank you for telling me about Nedra. Like, we were having a meltdown together at work, I think, and she was like, this is who you need to. And that was last year. That was last year. I think it was like 2021. And I have been following Nedra Tawwab since. So when you have good people in your life and they say to you, like, hey, check this person out, I think you could really grow, from surrounding yourself by that kind of influence. Please listen. And there's actually a boundary quiz on her website. So I encourage everybody under the sound of my voice to go locate her and take that boundary quiz and just be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. 2023 and you, right? 2023 and me. I'm gonna do me in 2023, and I hope y'all can get with it.
They either gonna have to, or they're gonna have to kick rock.
Because I'm trying to be a housewife.
we're gonna work on
I've been
making
talking
that.
to God about you. I'm like, Lord,
we're working on that. We
enlarge my husband's territory.
You know how we do it.
All right, so let's talk. Let's give me some of those questions. We have that question. What's the question box called?
All right, so quick plug. So ironically enough, we did the white elephant gift at work. White elephant. Whatever you
have
call
to describe that because everybody doesn't do that. Like, I had never even heard of it until I came to Texas, and I was like, y'all doing what?
Yeah, it was new for me too. I rarely participate, but I just happened to be in the office. But where they blind wrap gifts. They put numbers on them. You put numbers from a hat. You pull a number from a box or a hat, and you pull a number based on your turn in line. And you can either I think you could either keep the gift. I think once everybody, you can either keep it, you can swap with somebody or something like that. I forget how the game really goes, but luckily, on my first try, I managed to pull this neat little game called Family Time Together. Well, you can't really see it, but it's called Family Time Together. It's like it's a set of cards, but it's just a deck of cards with questions to kick off conversation, which I thought was fantastic for our show. And so I thought that would be a good way to kind of keep the conversations popping, kind of see what's good. And so
I'm excited.
We got a few questions today. And the first question is, if you could travel back in time and thank someone, who would it be and why?
You said thank someone?
Thank them. Appreciate someone.
So I'm torn on that one because it's like, would I go and thank like a famous person for what they did for the world or like our community? Um, so I guess if I had to go back and thank a famous person, I probably will go back and thank Zora Neale Hurston.
Okay.
Yeah. At first, I was like, I'll go back and thank Dr. Charlotte Hawkins Brown, founder of the Palmer Memorial Institute, because that was the inspiration for me for founding a Fay Academy. But I would think Zora Neale Hurston, because one of the things that I admire about her the most is just her relentless personhood. Like she just knew who she was in a time when so many people were just confused about the goodness that a Black woman is,
Right.
and she was uncompromisingly Black AF. Okay. And I just admire that about her so much. And so, she was so much herself that even in 2023, we're still coming to terms with everything that she accomplished and contributed to our community, to the world of literature and anthropology. So I think her, on a personal level, my grandmother, because I know that most of my goodness comes from her. And I would thank her, and I want to know, all the lessons that she never got to tell me, like, so for this age of my life of raising adult children, what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you navigate this space? Yeah. What about you?
Oh man. If I could go back and thank one person, he's still alive today. I would thank Coach Kumpong,
Okay. I was like, what?
my original Muay Thai coach.
Gotcha.
He, I remember my second fight, my back was against the wall, and we had one of those rocky moments where he pulled me out of the depths of myself, and he taught me this. I hear him in my head all the time some days when I feel like giving up and I feel like just but he was he was that person that told me, yo man, if you give up, you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life.
Wow.
And that was a moment where I really decided from that moment on that I'm going to dig in and I'm going to lean into the wind, and I'm going to throw whatever I got at whatever problems in front of me. And and I lost that fight. That was the only amateur fight. Yeah, the only amateur fight I lost. But that set a fire under me, and it was like, yo, I won't, I in that split second, I saw myself, and I was like, and I decided in that moment, now this isn't how I want to be remembered. And it was epic, and even though I lost that fight, I left with my dignity. And that was, and in a fight where you bear your all, and you give your all, not just to yourself, to your opponent, to the crowd, and in that moment, and you rise to that occasion, that was a victory in and of itself. And so I would, if I could go back to that moment, I would thank him again. I would thank him for that. I don't know if he knows how much that meant to me, because I think about that whenever I feel like quitting, whenever I feel like giving up, whenever I feel like just saying, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I think about that moment. And that was a key turning point in my life.
I love that for you.
And I would also I would go back I would thank my dad, just for being a man, moving into my own adulthood, and realizing that, man, there's no instruction manual for this.
Mm-hmm.
And despite where life took him, I respect his choices. And and despite what anybody thought, despite judgment, when you're trying to think about the future and what you want for yourself, what you want for your children and your family, you're going to do what you feel like is going to benefit them the most. And I know, his journey wasn't easy at all, and so I would like to thank him for just being a man, just being being a man,
I love
and
it.
really doing his best with what he had. And as I see myself doing the best with what I have,
Mhm.
I'm often reminded, just there's no book for this. There's no instruction manual on this. You do what your best with what you have. And and you rock with it.
I believe he'd be so proud of you. I know he is. That would be. I know he
Yeah.
is.
So those would be the thanks that those would be the two people I go back and thank. There's some more, but those are the two that,
Yeah.
I want to share today.
Okay. So give me one more question and
One
then
more
we'll close out
question.
for tonight.
One more
Let's see what you
question.
got. Let's see what you got.
Oh man. Oh, okay. What is the angriest you've ever been? I might think that one might be too real. I think that one we might, table that one.
Yeah, let's pass.
All right. What is something, all right. What is something that you do differently than most people?
Peach,
Okay.
period.
I could attest to that. I
Peach, baby.
witnessed it. I clicked
As
my heels.
frustrated as
I
I am
salute
with
you.
my profession, I know that I was born to do this. There is not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that I was put on this planet to teach. And so when I feel that I have moved past my prime or my level um, of actually being a quality contributor to my profession, then I know it's time for me to figure something else out. Right. I think I'll always be a teacher, whether it's in a classroom, a pulpit, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But that's my profession. That is my ministry gift, is to teach. And so maybe I'm transitioning um to another, plane of existence in this calling. I don't think I'll ever give up on teaching per se, but yeah, I know I do that differently than anybody else.
I agree. I haven't met one like you. I had my share of them. I had my share of teachers. So I haven't met one that do it like you. So
Thank you, baby. And you've seen the ups and downs, right? You've been there, so you know
absolutely.
what the time I put in, the energy that I put in, and how hard I go for my babies. What do you do differently than anybody else?
Well, one of the things I get, I don't want to call it praise, but I get that I've heard a lot is stay calm. I have a
Yeah, you do. You really do.
I I've been told, and I never met anybody else that I've heard been that I've ever heard this ever been mentioned about. But one of the things that I often one of the comments people give me is that, I bring calm to a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And
You do.
and so that's one of the things that I think I do, is stay cool. Is keep my cool,
You do.
even when I'm furious, I do I work really, really hard to stay cool. And so that's what I think I do different than most people, to stay calm.
Yeah, you do.
Um,
I'll give you that. And then, but see, on the flip side, after you finish doing all that calm, if you ever flip out, you do that like nobody else.
oh yeah, when that
Because when that
when that
lion comes
lion,
out,
yeah, when the lion come out the cage, that's why I keep that joker like, yo, if I have to let you out, it's gonna be hard to put you back.
they don't want none.
So I keep real, 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 real cool.
Yeah, you do
Um,
good. You do good. I be playing.
so
I be poking the bear. But then I be like, stop playing. She keep because you're gonna be somewhere crying in a minute. But yeah,
because
you do good, babe.
I can say and do some things that, I've never had a situation where I lost my cool and didn't regret it. So
Yeah.
um, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just keep my cool. And there's never been a time and there's been some time where I regretted keeping my cool too.
That part, because
So
sometimes you can do it to a fault,
yeah.
and then I be in the background saying, "Now he said no tomatoes. Take this plate back." I'm just kidding.
So I guess it's patience and being cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
staying cool. And I don't mean being cool like, yeah, I mean being cool like just
Collected.
stay
Calm.
icy.
Mhm.
Icy. You don't know what's going on.
Yep.
You don't know what's going on in here.
I love it.
So
So,
awesome. That
babe,
was good. That was awesome.
you know, this is our first live episode of 2023, and I really want to, you know, set some intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Let's close out tonight, and I'll let you state the intention because you're the head of this family. You're the head of my life. So what's your intention for 2023 for our time together at In It Together with Dunlaps?
What our intention will be to enrich as many lives as we can. Is to hopefully entertain, bring a smile, educate, offer a different perspective. You know, I truly believe that conversation rules the nation, because if you can't talk, you can't do anything. And so my intent for this would be to reach the right people. We don't have to reach everybody. I'm not, you know, we don't have to reach the whole world. It'd be nice, you know, and get some of that ad revenue. Yeah. But to reach the right ears, to reach the right people is the intent, because the right people will also spread it to the more right people and more right people. And so, and then it'll be a network of, you know, people of same thought, you know, and so that will be my intention in terms of moving through this. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm trying to do something to spend time together with you and share and engage in conversation with you and spread some knowledge and some love, and you know, and just, you know, like I said, hopefully offer a little bit of entertainment with a little bit of education and, you know, some conversation to spark some thought, you know. So that's my intention. And you know, like Tupac said, you know, maybe spark the mind that makes some real change. You know, if we're not the ones to do it, maybe we inspire somebody to do it, you know.
I
and
love it.
Each one reach one, each one teach one, right? So
Yep.
and so that's my intention, you know. I ain't here to save the world, just the ones that I'm just here to reach the ones that'll listen, because I ain't trying to make nobody listen. That's just something I don't do. I'm the one thing I'm not gonna make you do is listen to me. If you decide, if you listen, awesome. If you don't,
I love it.
don't holler at me when it don't work out for you. I'll see you when it don't work out for you. But
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you. I have enjoyed our conversation tonight, and we'll see where the year takes us. But I touch and agree with you on that intention that, you know, we're not going to be for everybody, but the real one's going to feel us. And that'll just be what it is. And I'm just thankful to have this time with you every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're always live here on Facebook. I am Shekema.
I am Deante.
We're the Dunlaps.
We are the Dunlaps, and we're in it together.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
Thanks, everybody.